Nathan Judo. I'm here with Wolves reporter Mr. Joe Edwards. Joe, Wolves 0, Liverpool 1. No points, better performance though. Before we start with the analysis, let's just get an update on Rui Patricia. Obviously worrying end to the game there. Stretched it off. What's the latest on him?
Well, fortunately he's awake, he's conscious, he's been speaking to medics, hasn't had to be rushed to hospital either. So, you know, that he may well go as precaution, but, you know, it was just such a sickening incident and just a scary reminder of what happened with Raul Jimenez really earlier on in the season. It was all a bit eerie and eerily familiar, to be honest, and it couldn't help but kind of overshadowed the rest of the game. I mean, it was a positive performance really from Wolves, and kind of one moment on the counter-attack was their undoing, and a lack of ruthlessness going forward again kind of it played its part. But yeah, the main thing is Patricio, and thankfully there was that positive news afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like you say, I mean, as the minutes went on, it was so similar to what we saw at Arsenal, and just so nice to get a positive update from Nuno after the game. Look, they were better tonight. I know this Liverpool team is devoid of confidence and they've lost an incredible amount of games at home that no one saw coming. However, they have been playing very well away from home. And look, I think Jurgen Klopp's admitted tonight that Liverpool they'll take it, but they call it a dirty 3 points because he knows they've been in a game and it could have gone either way tonight. They created chances, and the most disappointing thing on the night, apart from obviously the Rui injury, was that they didn't finish them. There were a plethora of chances from a variety of players, and yet no one can find the back of the net, and that's just the problem at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, the performance as a whole, intent, aggression, and they talked about wanting to see it in the first half and start as you mean to go on, and they did that. Credit to them, because we've seen them be so slow and so tepid first halves. You may as well turn on Wolves at half time most of the time. But it was a good watch in the first half, and he carried on really for most of the game. It was just that one moment on the counter attack, and Jota squeezed it in the near post. I mean, you could say Rui could have done better. I did say at the time, but I mean, ultimately that pales in comparison to his condition, and hoping that just he's okay. So better performance, but as you say, the familiar tale was Wolves' lack of finishing.
And yet it could have been very, very different at the very beginning of the game. Alisson seemed to, I mean, I haven't seen the replays, but seemed to clatter Semedo, and I've seen those given plenty of times, and yet I assume VAR took a look at it and didn't deem anything untoward. But goodness me, I mean, I think they're very, very lucky that Liverpool didn't concede a penalty.
Well, I think Craig Pawson had a bit of an iffy night, to be honest. The referee.
Iffy? It was terrible.
That's putting it mildly, to be honest. I mean, the Wolves bench were incensed throughout the night. I know they tend to be quite animated, but it was justified really. There was a series of decisions, and not just against Wolves, but just kind of for both teams. There was it wasn't a great refereeing display, but I don't think that's why Wolves haven't got the points tonight. But a bit allowed to be too critical, because I think it was a much improved performance, much more intent and aggression. I mean, Jose, for example, his goalless run continues, but he had a good first half. I think to a man really.
But they've got to hit the target, Joe.
Yeah,
I mean, Jose, Traore, Neto. I mean, look, I understand that, and I understand that they wanted to give it a go. I said they've got to give it a go tonight. And they did give it a go, which is fair enough. But at the same time, so they should be. The mid-table. They're not going anywhere. They're not going down. They're not going up. There's a chance to really, be positive. That's the least that you can hope for. But at the same time, these guys, Traore, who hasn't signed a contract yet, Neto, Jose, Neves, and Semedo tonight all get a Cody. Great chances, and they've got to convert.
Well, yeah. I mean, you've got to convert them against any team. But if you don't do it against Liverpool, they will, make count their one big moment as they did. And that's the thing for Wolves. I mean, it is a better performance, and hopefully, it's a bit frustrating actually that there's an international break now, because you'd think that performance could be, you'd want to follow up that quickly, just try and get the cutting edge to it, but. Yeah, it's the story of Wolves this season, isn't it? They haven't scored enough goals, and to be honest, they're probably not going to have a great finish to the season because they're still not scoring goals. They're probably not going to score enough goals to pick up enough points. But you've got to try and look at the positives, I guess, and at least the intent and the way that they applied themselves. I thought João Moutinho had a good game, and Semedo's getting better. You know, it's not all happy days, of course, but it's not quite all doom and gloom either. There is at least some building blocks to come from this.
Well, what do you want to see between now and the end of the season? You know, there's 9 games left. I mean, they want to get to 40 points, of course. I think 38. I think 30. I think potentially what they're on now might be enough. But at the same time, they want to crawl over, get mathematically safe.
Yeah.
And then is it time to play about with formations, with players, to give chances to guys who were on loan to see whether they're going to sign them or not, to change formation, or is it just carry on as what they're doing until get this season out the way, get it done, get it over, and start again next season?
It's a good question. I mean, I guess he's limited as to what he can do, really. I know there's the Vitinhas and people that haven't played, but again, it was only an 8-man bench tonight, 8 newbie missing out on the squad. It's just, you know, I think hopefully getting Menez back in with at least a couple of games to go. I mean, we'll see when exactly he's back, but that'll give everybody a bit of a lift. You just want to see more goals. I'm struggling to really find what the answer is, really. I think that it's really got to be addressed in the summer. That's where you address it. But in the meantime, just try and find some way of scoring a few more goals. And yeah, the performance was better tonight, but you know, ultimately, if you don't finish your chances, you're not going to win games. And it's the big sticking point for Wolves. It has been all season.
Wolves 0, Liverpool 1. For all the post-match reaction, make sure you log on to expressionStar.com.